Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Moonbound Silence. Episode 10. Chapter 48 to 52. 1 week later. What? Melody and I shouted. We were all sitting in Jasper's office, which has since become my office. Uncle Ronan, can the elders do that? Jason asked. Unfortunately, yes, they can. Because Jasper refuses to acknowledge Sarin as his mate and this Pax Luna, she is also being placed on leave from her duties. Kendrick, you and Melody are the acting Alpha and Luna. Dad, this is crazy. It's not like they're dead. Melody shouted. I know, Pumpkin, but this is the way it has to be. After Jasper attacked Sarin, word spread quickly about the assault, and now the pack members have lost their faith in Jasper. Plus, Lorenzo's threat to take her has reached across the territory. Ken, have we found anything to figure what Jasper went through, and why his memories are all inged up? Milan asked me. The only thing I can think of it is that it's some kind of dark magic, that's the only thing that makes sense at this point, I answered. But that's not enough, Lorenzo expects us to fix the mess, and not just figure what the cause is, Jason replied. 9 days, Milan said. We have 9 days to find a solution, or we're inged. That won't be necessary, we all looked to the door and saw Sarin. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Sarin, sweetheart, you should be resting, Grace said to her. Sarin just shook her head. Just then, Lorenzo came in behind her with 2 duffel bags. Mr. Rossi, what's going on? We're leaving. What? Kendrick's POV. We're leaving, Lorenzo said. What do you mean by we? I asked, standing from my seat looking at them. I'm leaving with Lorenzo, Sarin answered. What? We all shouted. I ran around from the desk and grabbed her shoulders. Sarin, why? I don't want to be here anymore, she said softly. I can't be here anymore, it hurts too much. Her eyes glistened with tears. Sweetheart, you can't leave us. You're the Luna, we need you here, Grace said to her. I'm sorry, Aunt Grace, but I can't be the Luna. I'm not strong enough anymore. My bond with Jasper is broken, and I can't bear to see him with so much hatred towards me anymore. It just hurts too much, and I can't take it any longer. I love Jasper so much, but he hates me, and it's just too much to handle. Mr. Rossi, did you coerce her? Ronan asked. No, he didn't, Sarin replied. I asked him. I wasn't even aware that he had threatened you all until the other day. Sarin, give us time to fix this, I said to her. Come on, this isn't over yet. I'm sorry, Kendrick, I'm sorry everyone, but I just can't do this anymore. 3 weeks of pure unadulterated hate from the person who's supposed to love and cherish you is just too much pain for me. My powers are all out of control, and I'm afraid that if Jasper does any more mean things to me, I'm going to snap, and I can afford to hurt anyone with my loss of control. She was doing this for us. She didn't want to unintentionally hurt us if she lost control of her powers. But, Sarin, you're... I'm okay, Aunt Grace. I can handle it, and Lorenzo will be there to help me. He's lived a long time, and I'm sure he knows people who can take care of me when the time comes. I didn't understand what Sarin was saying. When what time comes? I thought to myself. Sarin, please don't leave, Melody said. I turned around and saw that she and Milan were on the brink of tears. I'm sorry, Melody, I'm sorry, Milan, but it's over. Jasper doesn't want me anymore, regardless of what caused the change, and I don't want to be here any longer. Sarin, tell me what you need. Tell me what I can do to get you to stay, I tell her, pleading with her to change her mind. There's nothing you can do, Kendrick, she said coldly. Thank you everyone for loving me and giving me a home for the last few months. I'll never forget any of you, and I will always love you. You're the family that I never got to have, and I'm so grateful for the time I got to have with you. Sarin, please, I begged her. Jason, will you please look after Victor? And please make sure that when the rogue issue is figured out and fixed, that he gets home to his family. Nothing is more than important than getting him home to his family, and any of the other missing people that you guys save. Melody, I pray that you and Michelle have healthy and smooth pregnancies, and I'm sorry that I can't be there for you guys for when they're born. Aunt Grace, Uncle Ronan, thank you for sharing all of your memories of my parents with me, and thank you for being the parents that I never got to have. Kendrick, thank you for being the big brother that I never had. You and Jasper were there for me when I was alone, and you both gave me hope of a better life. You're going to make a great alpha. I couldn't help the tears that were falling from my eyes. Sarin was really going to leave. Will you please give this to Jasper, after I'm gone, she asked while handing me a note and a jewelry box. I took them from her. Without another word, she turned her heel and left. Lorenzo looked at all of us and bowed his head. I promise to look after her with great care. No harm will come to her, he said, and also left. I turned to look at everyone and we were all shocked. No one said anything. Grace and the girls were crying while Jason and Ronan looked like they wanted to rip Jasper's head off. The sudden shock of her leaving finally snapped and I ran after her. As if they also finally came to their senses, everyone was running after me as well. Sarin! I shouted as I skipped down the stairs as fast as I could. Sarin, come back! I sent a mind link to guards. Stop the Luna! Do not let her or Lorenzo leave. Yes, Beta. Who was I kidding? I already knew they didn't stand a chance against Sarin and Lorenzo, but I had to try and stall. But by the time I got the front door, it was wide open, and the guards were on the ground. Gr0aning. What happened? I asked. Jason and Ronan were helping them to their feet. Mr. Rossi, he lifted us in the air and made us collide with each other, and then we dropped us from a height of 20 feet, one of the guards said. Where are they? They used their speed, Beta, they're already at the gate, we were too late. Sarin's POV. After William knocked around the guards, he and I used our super speed to get to the gate of the territory. He took care of the guards at their posts by keeping them down on the ground with his powers without hurting them. I stood on the outskirts of the border of our territory looking back at the territory and the small bit of the castle that I could see. It looked so small from this SP0T. Sarin, it's time, William said to me. I looked at him and couldn't help the tears. I looked back at my pack, my home, and held my C.Hest as I muttered the next words. Sarin Calloway, I paused to catch my breath. And my unborn child hereby cut all ties and alliances with the Blue Lake Pack. I also hereby lay down my TLE in position as Luna. I felt my bond with my pack break, and the pain of losing the bond with over 800 people was like a stone bridge collapsing. I was seriously hating this next part. Sarin, we don't have much time, I can't hold down these guards forever. I look at the guards who had pain in their eyes. They just witnessed me cut all ties with them, and they were hurt. I mouthed the words I'm sorry to them and looked back at the territory. I held my heart knowing that this next part was going to be worse, and it was going to hurt, a lot. I, Sarin Calloway, reject UWY, Jasper Valencia, as my mate. I felt our bond fully break and a pain I never experienced before enveloped over my body, forcing me to my knees. Ah! I screamed at the top of my lungs from the pain, and the tears of the anguish of losing the love of my life flooded down my face like a waterfall. My cries shook the gates of the pack, and I shot out a force so great it actually broke the iron gates and ripped out several dozen trees from their roots. I didn't even know how long I was on my knees crying until William came to my side. "Sarin, we must go." William helped me to my feet, and held me by my shoulder with one arm, while he carried our 2 bags in his other hand. I looked back once more with blurred vision, and said these final words. "I love you, Jasper," before turning away and leaving for good. Jasper's POV. I was sitting on the couch in my commons area thinking of everything that had been happening since I came back. It's been 3 weeks since I apparently disappeared, and 3 weeks where nothing made any more sense. Kendrick was right about one thing though, I was missing something. Almost everyone adored Sarin, and almost everyone was angry at me. I honestly thought it had to do with her putting a spell on them, but then I saw that not everyone actually liked her. It happens in a pack as big as this. You have to respect the ranked members, but it doesn't mean you have to like them, and that's what I started to notice. Pack members respected her, but not all of them actually liked her, which meant that my family and friends weren't under a spell. Could Sarin really be my mate and Luna, and I was just not remembering? But that didn't make sense. I've always dreamed of having my mate and a Luna for my pack. I would never forget someone as important as my mate. Ugh! I grunted and rubbed my face. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door. I went to go open it, and I was surprised at who I saw. "Hi, Jasper." "Layla. So, you do remember me," she said and waltzed into my room. I closed the door behind her and just looked at her. "What are you doing here?" "Well," she said and casually sat on my bed crossing her legs, "I was thinking, since you've been under a lot of stress lately, I could help you relieve some of it." "Layla, we've been through this, that was a one-time thing. Come on, Jasper. I'm unmated, you're unmated, we're both lonely, and we both know that we can pleasure each other," she said seductively. "So, what do you say?" "Layla, that's not a good idea, my sister would LL me. She already knows we had X once, and she didn't LL you for that time, why would this time be any different?" she replied and started to strut towards me. I had to admit, Layla wasn't a bad-looking she-wolf. Even if our first time together I was drunk, I knew what I was doing when I took her to bed. "Layla, we shouldn't," Blade was hounding me to push her away, and Kendrick's words about not sleeping with anyone was playing in the back of my mind. "Please, Jasper," she begged sweetly and started to rub my DCK in my sweats. "Oh, what's this? It seems as if your body knows what it wants." I couldn't help the M0AN that came out of my mouth. I couldn't even remember the last time I had X with someone, which was strange because I would have sworn that it wasn't that long ago, but I couldn't remember who it was with. "Layla, stop," I said to her, but she didn't. She pulled down my sweats, got down on her knees, and started. I had to admit, it felt good, but it didn't feel right. It almost felt wrong. "Jasper! Snap out of it. Blade, what is wrong with you? She's not our mate. One blowjob can't hurt. Snap out of it." He practically roared in my head, making me push Layla back. "What's wrong?" she asked, a concern. I held my head from how loud Blade just snapped at me. He had never done that before. Jasper. I stood against the wall holding myself up as my head kept ringing. Layla put her hands on me, to help me stay steady. Get off, I pushed her away. What? Something didn't feel right. Blade was never that demanding, and it was almost threatening. Once my ears stopped ringing, I pulled my pants up and slid to the floor. Jasper. Shut up, Layla. I have a headache and I don't need you adding to it. What the hell is happening? This isn't part of the plan, I heard her mutter and I looked up at her. I wanted to ask what she meant by that when I heard screaming outside of my room. I stood up and opened the door and saw Kendrick and everyone running down the stairs screaming for Sarin to come back. I shook off my delirium and followed after them, but by the time I made down to the bottom step, I felt a sudden emptiness inside of me. The loss of a pack member, and an important one. I looked around, and pups were screaming in confusion, women were crying, and men were holding their mates. Those that weren't crying, screaming, or consoling someone, they were staring daggers at me. I ran out the front door and 2 of the guards were being held up by Jason and my dad. My sister, Mom, and Milan were also crying holding each other, and Kendrick was on his knees bowing his head. I was going to ask what just happened, and what pack member just left the territory when a breeze swept by carrying a faint and broken voice. I, Sarin Calloway, reject you Jasper Valencia, as my mate. As soon as the last word played itself, I felt the worst pain in my entire life ripped its way through my body. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't think, I couldn't see, I couldn't do anything. So, I did the only thing I could do. Ah! I roared and fell to the ground. I was in the fetal position as the pain made its way through my body. It felt like a million knives were stabbing me over and over, but the worst pain came from my C.Hest. The feeling of my heart beating a million miles an hour, and it suddenly shattering into a million pieces was out of this world. Blade was howling and practically yelping in pain. She was my mate. Sarin really was my mate. She just rejected me, and the pain was nothing that I ever imagined it would be. It felt worse than wolfsbane being pumped into your system. Sarin, that beautiful blonde was my mate. Then it clicked, she's the one who left. The Luna left her pack, and it was all my fault. But why couldn't I remember her? Jasper. I heard my name, but I couldn't see who was talking to me. My vision was blurred with tears and blackened by the pain of Sarin leaving the pack, leaving me. The pain was so excruciating, I started to have trouble breathing, and then next thing I knew, I was coughing up blood, and becoming more and more delirious. Quick, we need to get him to the hospital. I heard someone shout, but not knowing who. The only person that I could think of was Sarin. My Sarin, my mate, my Luna, the girl I had no memory of. Why couldn't I remember my own mate? I felt my world crumbling, and I wanted to be swallowed up into the depths of Earth's core. I hurt the one woman I was meant to love, all because I refused to believe that she was my mate, even though everyone was telling me she was. I felt myself cough up more blood, as my body was being dragged somewhere. I never felt so useless, so worthless, and so ashamed. I hurt the Luna, I tried to KLL her. I tried to KLL my mate, my love, but yet, I can't remember ever loving her. I felt my consciousness swaying, and I thought, perhaps I was going to die from the rejection. It's what I deserved after what I had done. Just as darkness was taking over, I heard one last faint voice in my head, before I fell into obliteration. I love you, Jasper. Chapter 49. Jasper's POV. I felt like my entire world was surrounded by darkness, and I couldn't find any light to lead the way. I was stumbling and falling, and I had no idea where I was. I knew I was in some kind of forest, or the woods, because everything I touched felt like a tree, and twigs and leaves were crunching beneath my feet. I kept walking forward, but it wasn't of my choice, it was like something was almost guiding me. After what felt like hours of walking, I saw a small light ahead. I wanted to go towards it, but my body wasn't going in that direction, it was going in another. I was heading towards more darkness. I didn't want to go in that direction, I wanted to go towards the light. I pushed my body in the direction towards the light, but it felt as if something was preventing me from going that way. I wasn't going to give up, I needed to go towards the light meant something good, didn't it? I willed my body, and finally, I was moving towards the light, and the closer I got, the brighter it became. I closed my eyes to keep myself from being blinded, and then I felt someone tugging on my eyelid. Alpha? Can you hear me? I heard a voice. He's responsive, but I think he's having trouble opening his eyes, the voice said again. Well, he's alive, now I can LOL him for real, someone shouted. Kendrick, stop it, a woman shouted. Alpha, can you hear me? Yes, what is that light? I finally grumbled. The light was removed, and I finally saw people in front of me. Mom? Dad? Oh, sweetheart, are you okay? No, I feel like SHT, I said and tried to get up. Not so fast, Alpha, your body is weakened, and you need to save your strength. I looked to my right and saw Dr. Andrews. What happened to me? I asked, holding my hand to my head. What's the last thing you remember? My father asked. What he remembers last? Kendrick said. Do you remember who Sarin is? I remember you guys telling me that she's my mate. Kendrick grunted. You still don't remember anything about her? I shook my head. Did she really leave? I asked carefully. Yes, She really left. Kendrick shouted. Kendrick, my mom yelled. What, Aunt Grace? Our Luna is gone because of this. Kendrick shouted, pointing at me when he said. My parents and Kendrick started to argue, then I remembered something. She rejected me, they were still arguing and then paused. What? They all exclaimed. Sarin, when she left, she rejected me. Now I understand why the Alpha was in pain and was coughing up blood, Dr. Andrews said. We all looked at him. You see, even if the Alpha cannot remember the Luna, and his mark is in fact now gone, it doesn't change the fact that they had accepted each other, mated, and marked each other. Sebastian, what are you saying? My father asked him. Ronan, when mates complete the mating process, they are bound together, but just like if one were to have an affair, if one were to reject their mate after completing the mating process, the breaking of the bond could be enough to LOL the other. Are you saying that Sarin rejecting Jasper caused enough pain as if she were to have cheated on him? My mother asked. That's exactly what I am saying, Grace. And the Alpha wouldn't be the only one in pain, the Luna would have felt just as much pain, perhaps more because she was still marked, Dr. Andrews explained. Sarin was marked? Then why isn't she here in the hospital? My father asked. Wait, what do you mean Sarin was marked? I asked and everyone looked at me like I grew 3 heads. Son, Sarin is still marked. What mark? I didn't see a mark on her. Hold up, are you saying that every time you looked at Sarin, you didn't see your mark on her neck? Kendrick asked and I just shook my head. Whatever black magic was used to with his memories must have made her mark invisible to him, or something. That's something we will deal with later. Why isn't she here in the hospital with Jasper if she went through the same amount of pain he did? My dad asked again. Uncle Ronan, it's because of Sarin's ability to rapidly heal, Kendrick answered. What ability? I asked him. Kendrick looked at me confused. Dude, you really don't remember SHT about her, do you? I just shook my head. Jasper, Sarin is a primordial. What? That's why Lorenzo was here, he was here to train her. That's why we went to Italy, to find answers for Sarin and what she is. That's why you were researching about the vampire, it's all about Sarin. I just stared at him, blinking rapidly. Ronan, whatever happened to the Alpha in the week that he was missing? Something or someone either erased or suppressed his memories of the Luna, and only the Luna. Anything and everything that had to do with her was PPD from him, even the visibility of her mark, Dr. Andrews said. I was right, it had to have been some kind of dark magic, Kendrick replied. Jasper, what do you remember the night of the accident, the night you went missing? I thought back to that night. I remember sending everyone home from the office early because of the blizzard coming into the city. I left an hour later than I should have and got caught in the blizzard. I knew I wanted to get home as fast as possible, I was excited to go home, but I can't remember why. But then, I remember hitting something, and my car spun out of control. The last thing I remember is the car overgoing the guardrail into the gorge. Anything after that? I shook my head. The only thing I remember is waking up and wandering the streets. I didn't know where I was until I saw a newspaper that had the date, and said that I was in Cleveland. Then, I was picked up U.S. Marshals and brought back to Detroit. So, you're not only missing memories of Sarin but that entire week you went missing, Kendrick said to me, and I just nodded. At this point, it's the only thing that was making sense. No one said anything else, and there was an uncomfortable silence in the room. I used what little strength I had to prop myself up to sit straight, then broke the silence. Where's Sarin? Gone, Kendrick answered. I get that, but where? We have no idea, he snapped at me. I told you to quit treating her like SHT, but you didn't. I didn't talk to her since the day you broke my door, Ken. My point exactly. You ignored her and pretended she didn't exist. Even if you believed that she wasn't your mate, it didn't give you the right to treat her as if she weren't a living person. Kendrick's words really hit me hard because he was right. I treated Sarin like she was invisible, and in the end, that must have been the last straw for her. You may not remember this, Jasper, but Sarin was a child slave. I looked at him and my eyes were as wide as they could be. What? Yeah, she was a child slave, Jasper. Don't you remember going to Blood Moon for the Alpha's meeting and Ash's Alpha ceremony? Yeah, I do. Well, that's where you and I found Sarin. She was their house slave and had been there for 8 years. But I don't remember her being there. Son, I looked at my dad, who got my attention. Do you remember this? He handed me a photo. Yeah, that's when you and I went to Iron Hollow to talk to Uncle Mitch, I answered, looking at the photo. So, you remember Mitch and Megan? I nodded my head. Jasper, the child in the photo, do you remember her? I looked at the photo and I was holding a young girl. She was kissing my cheek, and I was smiling, and big. I just looked at my dad and shook my head. I don't remember taking the photo though. I don't remember the girl, or why she's kissing my cheek, or why I look so happy about it. Jasper, that's Sarin when she was 10 years old, right before her pack was slaughtered, my mother said. What? I looked back down at the photo and saw the resemblance. Son, that's also the day you realized that Sarin was your mate and that you vowed to wait for her to turn of age so you could claim her, my dad said. This doesn't make any sense. I don't remember taking this photo or the girl. I do remember going to Iron Hollow though. I remember I was 18, and it was right before you gave me the pack, Dad, and right before Iron Hollow was slaughtered by Blood Moon. Was Sarin really part of my life for this long? Did someone actually with my head and remove precious memories of me and my mate? Just then, my mother handed me another photo. Jasper, this is a photo from when you were 8 years old, she said to me. I looked down at the photo and it's me holding a baby. Sweetheart, that's Sarin the day after she was born. I looked at her and then back at the photo. I don't remember this one either. Do you remember going to Iron Hollow when you were younger? She asked. Yeah, I do remember one time you taking me because Dad was busy with the company, and Aunt Meg had just had her baby, so you wanted to go visit her. That's right, Jasper, and that baby was Sarin. Mitch and Megan were Sarin's parents, she said to me. I looked at her completely confused. Even memories of knowing Sarin before we were even mates were gone? How could this be possible? Jasper, I looked at Kendrick. Sarin wanted me to give you this. He handed me an envelope and a jewelry box. We'll leave you to read it in private. Just mind link me when you're ready to talk. I nodded my head and they all left, closing the door behind them. I sat up a little more and opened the envelope. To my Prince Charming. Jasper, I don't even know where to begin. I've never written a letter to anyone, so I hope that my handwriting is all right. I'm leaving, Jasper. I'm leaving you and our pack. I can't take it anymore. I can't take the hurt, the pain, and the hate. I never thought there would come a day where you would hate me so much, but I guess all good things must come to an end. I love you so much, Jasper, and it pains me to have to write this letter to you. I don't think I could face you and tell you to your face that I'm leaving. Seeing your beautiful teal eyes and handsome face would prevent me from taking this step to protect myself and our unborn child. That's right, Jasper, I'm pregnant, and yes, you are the father. I never thought I would end up a single mother, especially since our bond was so strong, but I guess I was wrong. I don't know what happened to you, Jasper, and I wanted to be strong, and wait for you to get your memory back, but when I saw you rooting with other she-wolves, and pretending as if I was invisible, that was the final straw for me. I wanted to wait and forgive you for everything because I know that this isn't the real you. Even when you choked me and tried to kill me, I knew that it wasn't you and that whatever happened in the week that you were missing is what caused all of this. But instead of believing our family and friends that I was your mate, you treated me worse than how I was treated at Blood Moon. At least there, I was acknowledged as a living person, even if I was beaten and starved all the time. The pain from 8 years of abuse and slavery isn't nearly as painful as the pain I was going through when the love of my life treated me as if I didn't exist. I don't hate you, Jasper, I love you more than any person in this world, but I can't raise my pup in a home where his or her father would act as if he or she didn't belong to him. As a mother, that's something I couldn't bear to see. I don't know if or when you will ever get your memories back, Jasper, but if you do, don't blame yourself for my leaving. I know that this isn't your fault. I love you, Jasper. I love you so much, and it hurts knowing that this is the end of us. The end of our love. A love that barely began. These last 4.5 months with you have been wonderful, and I've never felt happier. But as I said, all good things come to an end. I'm giving back the Christmas gift you gave me because I don't think I could ever wear it again. It's too painful to look at, let alone wear. Goodbye, Jasper. Love always and forever. Sarin. There was a K.S.S. stain at the end of the letter and tear stains throughout. What caught me off guard were the fresh tear stains that were being made from my own tears. I was crying reading a letter from a woman I didn't even know. I put the letter down and opened the box. Inside was a rose gold necklace with a charm. It had the initials WV and RD at either end of an infinity symbol. Within the top of the box was a folded piece of paper. When I unfolded it, I couldn't stop the tears. It was a photo of an ultrasound. I fisted the necklace in my hand and held it to my heart. Even if I didn't remember her, reading her letter, seeing the necklace, and the photo of the ultrasound made me realize that she was my mate and the Pax Luna, and now it's too late. My mate, our Luna, and my unborn child were gone. Chapter 50. Jasper's POV. 2 months later. Arg. I threw everything off of my desk. It's been 2 months since Sarin left the pack, and no one can seem to find her. Wherever Lorenzo took her, he was keeping her hidden and well too. I sent several trackers back to Lorenzo's cabin in Italy, but the cabin had been uninhabited for months. I still have no memories of Sarin, and it's the most frustrating thing. All these good memories that our photos together show, but all I have are bad ones. Memories of me treating her like SHT, screaming in her face, destroying our photos, destroying her Luna ceremony photo, physically hurting her, and then pretending she didn't exist to me. My heart and my mind were so conflicted. Even though my mind doesn't know her, my heart does, and so does my wolf. Blade knew somehow and kept hounding me to stop hurting, but I ignored him. Dr. Andrews believes that because my mark is now somehow gone, it broke the bond between Blade and Sarin's wolf, but he could still feel that she was his mate because she was bearing our mark. A mark that I didn't even see. When I looked at her, she didn't have a mark, but apparently, she did, and it was only invisible to me as a human, and not to Blade. After I was released from the hospital the day after she left, I made sure to have all her belongings put back in our room and had all of the pictures reprinted and set up the way they were before I had destroyed them, even her Luna ceremony photo. Thankfully, my mother still had the original copy of it and had it reprinted with the same frame and everything. I needed to find Sarin and bring her back and claim her again. Even if our old memories were no longer in my head, there was nothing stopping me from making new ones when I found her and my pup. I was angry when I found out my mother knew Sarin was pregnant the week before she left but didn't say anything to anyone. When I confronted her about it, she told me it was because she was afraid I'd hurt Sarin and force a miscarriage or force her into an abortion. The fact that my own mother thought so low of me hurt, but I also didn't blame her for thinking that way. Layla has been trying to continuously sleep with me, even though I told her a million times that it was never happening. Nothing has changed between her and me, but what was driving me insane was how angry she got every time I turned her down. She became so angry, she almost shifted once, and I had to command her to stand down. That was a week ago now, and I haven't seen her since. I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing right now. Jasper. Milan came bursting into my office. Oh my God, what happened in here? What do you want, Milan? Hey, OSHT, that's right, your sister is in labor. I rushed out of my office with Milan behind me and ran straight to the PAC hospital. When I got to Melody's hospital room, I tried to go in, but my mom stopped me. I'm sorry, Jasper, but Melody doesn't want you in there. She's still mad at me. Yes, she is, and you can't blame for her that either, I just nodded my head. Go to the waiting room with your father and Jason, I nodded my head again and walked away. As I was passing by nurses and workers in the hospital, some greeted me, while others didn't even so much as even give me eye contact. Those were the pack members that liked Sarin and are angry with me that I drove their Luna away with my bullshit. I got to the waiting room, and fist bumped Jason, and gave my dad a. My family and friends forgave me and are trying to help me figure out what happened to my memories and trying to find Sarin. The elders gave me my back alpha position after Kendrick and my dad pet, Tioned with them, that I've been placed under a spell of some sort that erased Sarin from my memories. Things are okay between me and the guys, Milan, and my parents, but Melody refuses to forgive me. Even though she knows what's happening to me, she doesn't forgive me for the way I treated Sarin those 3 weeks after I came back. Any news? Jason asked. No, Lorenzo has been alive longer than all of us combined. He's probably has resources all over the world helping them hide, I answered and leaned back in the chair. Do you remember anything about her? I shook my head. But you do love her. I nodded my head this time. Jason just nodded back and let out a deep sigh. I didn't know what to do, but I had to find her and before the vampire did. Unknown P.O.V. Ah! I rubbed my temples as this ridiculous wolf screamed at the top of her lungs in my sanctuary. You promised it would work. You promised if we got rid of his memories it would open the door for him to fall in love with me. No, I said that it would open the door for him to fall in love with another, I never said that it would be you, I replied. It's not my fault that you underestimated his bond with his mate. I didn't underestimate anything. She's gone. She left. Their bond is broken. And yet, here you are, bitching and whining that he is now looking for her. What does that tell you? I stood up and poured myself a cup of tea. Fix this. Make Jasper love me. I already told you, Layla, that's not how the spell works. I ridded him of his memories of her, and he didn't recognize her. He despised her and almost killed her, did he not? So, the spell worked. I sipped my tea and let out a sigh of contentment. His heart was open for someone else to enter, and based on what you're telling me, if he fell for her again, it means he never had any feelings for you or anyone else for that matter. Jasper loves me. He almost gave in to me the day she left. It's not my fault you took so long to seduce him. He was under guard. He wasn't allowed to leave his room for a week, and when he did finally get to leave his room, he would always be in his office with the door locked. Then he started to flirt with other girls. Let me guess, none of those girls were you. That's not the point. That is precisely the point, you stupid mutt. The alpha never had feelings for you, at all. He may have had sex with you, but that was something he did because he is a man, you were just easy for him. There was no love, no passion, no desire, it was sex, plain and simple. No. I refuse to believe that. Jasper loves me. You messed up the spell, she screeched and tried to lunge at me. I grabbed her by the throat just as she got in my face. Now listen to me, you ungrateful little star. I did your bidding. I helped you cause the accident by blowing out his tire. I helped you kidnap him and hold him hostage for a week while the spell ran its course through his body and mind. I helped you drop him off in another state to make him more delirious. Don't forget that I know all of your skeletons, Layla, and I will not hesitate to share with your alpha what you did for your own selfish greed. I threw her through across the room as she landed on top of my visitor's table, breaking it into pieces. You wouldn't dare tell Jasper what I did. You would be killed along with me. A price I am willing to pay to get you to shut up. Besides, I've lived over 1,000 years, which is more than I can say that you will ever get to see. Don't forget, I also helped you and those alpha siblings at Blood Moon turn all those humans into rogue werewolves. Ash will have your head for this. Tell him he is more than welcome to try. He knows he's no match for me, and you best be wise to know that too. Not get out of my sanctuary, she left while screaming her head off. In my 1,000 years of living, I've never met a more annoying werewolf. Hell, I've never met anyone as annoying as her. Though as annoying as Layla is, I was concerned with the fact that the alpha still managed to love his mate, even though all memories of her were wiped from his mind and her mark from his neck. Could their bond be that strong? Rubbish, no bond is that strong. Though, I was curious as to why the Luna didn't return to Blood Moon and their alpha. He was after all her first mate. I had to admit, I was quite intrigued as to how events were turning out. I took the Luna's photo and held it in my hand along with a strand of her hair. Who are you, and why are you so special? I was lost in thought until a voice broke me free from them. Hello, Svetlana. Alessandro, what an unpleasant surprise, I say to the vampire. It hasn't been long enough, he just smirked. What do you want? I'm looking for the female primordial. What? There are no records of a female being born. I know, that's why I was surprised when I felt her existence. That would mean her bond with her mate was, oh my god. What is it? I stared blankly at him and started to blink rapidly. Nothing. You know I can sense when you're lying. No, it really is nothing. I just realized now why a spell I used for a client didn't work. I see, well your client can wait. Tell me, have you heard any rumors about a rare wolf? No, I have not. None born to 2 alphas. Not recently. What do you mean? The last werewolf born to 2 alphas died over 8 years ago. Are you sure? Yes, it was all over the supernatural news. Then how is it that I can sense her existence? Perhaps a pup was born out of wedlock, it does happen from time to time. Perhaps, he tapped his chin. Thank you for your time Svetlana, I must do some more research to find my beloved, he flashed his red beady eyes at me and then disappeared in a puff of black smoke. After I was certain he was gone, I looked down at the photo of the Luna. I picked it up and looked at it. So, you're a primordial, it's no wonder my spell didn't work properly. And you're the chosen one. I guess I'm on your side now. Sarin's POV. It's been 2 months since I've left Jasper and the Blue Lake Pack, and I'm honestly doing better than I thought I would, although, I have my moments here and there. It helps that William and his witch friend, or should I say his lover are helping me. They've definitely rekindled their fire, and of course, I eavesdropped on William's thoughts and learned that Olivia is his second chance. Apparently, he rejected her as well, but she never accepted it. Though he refuses to mark her, to which she's okay with. Olivia is quite a powerful witch and has been using her powers to keep my existence hidden. What's even more insane is that she is hiding us in plain sight. We live in Detroit, but she's using her magic to cloak us. When I look at my reflection, I'm no longer blonde or have chocolate eyes. I'm now a brunette with green eyes, freckles across my cheeks and nose, chubby cheeks, and peachy P.S. I'm still the same height, and I'm still 3 months pregnant. At least for a wolf, I am. According to Olivia, human pregnancies are double that of a wolf's, so whenever we go to the doctor's office, Olivia tells me to always double how far along I am. So, even though I'm 3 months, I have to tell the doctor or anyone else that asks that I'm 6 months. Thankfully, my morning sickness has since passed, and I am able to eat whatever I want. Although my pup still craves steak and potatoes from time to time. William bought us something called a condo just outside of Detroit, and he actually goes to work during the week. It's an easy job parking very cars, for a luxury hotel. It's mostly to keep up with appearances. Whenever anyone asks, William and Olivia are my aunt and uncle who took me in after my parents died in a tragic car accident. The condo itself is quite spacious. It has 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, and is actually a 2-story unit. I was a little taken aback when we first moved because it almost looked like the construction wasn't complete, but apparently, that was the style of this unit. The kitchen didn't come with a lot of cabinet space, but the island had a lot of drawer space which made up for it. The floor is all wood, and the even stairs that lead up to the second floor are wood. Although William and Olivia sleep in the same room, they decided to give me the bedroom downstairs, so I didn't have to go up and down the stairs while being pregnant. What I loved most was the balcony that came with the condo. It's as wide as the living room area and overlooks the city. There is also plenty of sunlight on the deck. Every morning after William goes to work, Olivia and I sit outside drinking tea and just soak in the sun. I was shocked to hear that Olivia is almost 1,000 years old. I wasn't aware that witches were immortal, but she did correct me on that part. Witches apparently just age a lot slower. They apparently age the same way a vampire does. Both of their disguises make them look a little older, but not by much. Although we can see each other in our true skin, others see our disguises. At home, we use our real names, but in public, we use our fake names, or what William calls them, aliases. William is Wayne, Olivia is Celeste, and my name is Megan. I decided to use my mother's name. Olivia's magic even created us new government identities, so now I have a state identification. Olivia and I are currently making dinner in our condo. Ah! I grunted in pain. Sarin, what's wrong? My pup just kicked me in the ribs, Olivia just chuckled and rubbed the sides of my belly. I swear, my pup is strong. Well, he or she is also a primordial, so of course he or she is strong, she says. You swear your cloak will protect my pup when it's born? Yes, now stop asking, she said, patting the back of my hand. I'm home. William bellowed from the door. Renz, you're home early, Olivia said, kissing his cheek. Although William told Olivia the truth about who he really is, she still prefers Lorenzo over William, which he has no problem with. He answers to both just fine. It was a slow day, so I got sent home a couple of hours early, but I did make quite a bit in tips today. How much? I asked. A good $1,000. Wow! Olivia and I exclaimed. And as always, Sarin, here is half of what I made for your allowance, William says, handing me $500. In the beginning, I felt awful taking his hard-earned money, but he reminded me that he's filthy rich from having lived as long as he has, along with Olivia. We don't have what's called a mortgage payment on the condo because William bought it in full. The money he earns from his car parking job pays for the water, electricity, other bills, and our cell phones. His tips pay for the groceries. Thank you, I reply and go to put money away into my small safe. I don't really have a use for the cash, so I decided to save this money to buy my pup what it needs after he or she is born. I chose to wait to know my pup's gender. When I went back out to the kitchen, I walked into something I did not want to see. Oh my God! I shouted and covered my eyes, turning away. William had Olivia on the kitchen counter and both of their shirts were off. I told you to wait. Olivia shouted at William. Sarin, you have the worst timing, William said. Ugh. How many times have I asked you guys not to do it in the kitchen? I shouted at them. I turned around, saw that they were decent again. Please, you act as you've never seen us having sex before, William said and slapped Olivia's butt. I shuddered at what I just saw. Sarin, will you please set the table, and put ice in the glasses? Olivia asked. Sure, I set up the table and made sure to get plenty of ice in each glass. Olivia made her famous beef stroganoff, which is absolutely to die for. Extra meat for the mother-to-be, Olivia said, adding extra meat to my plate before piling on the saucy pasta. Thank you. For you, my darling, she said, serving William. Thank you, my love, she finally served herself, and I pour the iced tea for everyone. As we ate dinner, William shared his workday with us and told us about some of the big-headed rich humans he had to deal with. But he said in the end it was all worth it because of the big tips they gave him. Apparently, there was a big convention coming up for the weekend, so he was going to have work double shifts on Saturday and Sunday. Sarin, Olivia, if you two aren't busy, the convention is open door. Why don't you come by and check it out? Yeah, I'd like that very much, I said with excitement. What about you, Olivia? Sure, sounds like it would be fun. Outstanding, I'll let my coworkers know so you get free valet parking, Olivia and I smiled, and we continued with dinner. After dinner, I went and got the dessert out of the fridge. Renz, this is a new recipe Sarin tried out, Olivia said while serving him the golden Aria cheesecake I made. Let's see, he replied and took a bite. I waited for his reaction. He swished it around in his mouth and made a thinking face. Well, this has got to be one of the best cheesecakes I've ever had. Child, I believe you've outdone yourself this time, I smiled big and clapped my hands. After we ate dessert and had some tea, William and Olivia cleaned up while I went to my room to relax in a nice warm bath. I got the water ready and added my favorite bubble bath. While the tub was filling, I threw my hair up in a messy bun and put on my head wrap and a Korean sheet mask. Olivia introduced me to these not too long after William purchased the condo, and I've been obsessed with them ever since. When the water reached a good level, I turned it off and got in the water. I put a bath pillow behind my neck and got comfortable. It didn't take long for sleep to consume me. I wasn't sure how long I had been asleep in the tub, but I was awakened by someone's hand caressing my leg. I opened my eyes and saw Jasper. Jasper. I looked around and saw that I was back in our bathroom inside the castle. Hello, dearest. What? How? Shhh, it doesn't matter, just relax and enjoy. I love you, Jasper, he didn't respond. Jasper. I opened my eyes, but he wasn't there. Jasper. I tried to stand but I slipped and fell back in the water, hitting my head. I jolted awake and looked around and saw that was in my bathroom in the condo. The water was now cold, and I looked at the clock in the bathroom. I was in the tub for almost an hour. I let out a big sigh. Another dream, I said to myself and carefully got out of the tub. I drained the water, dried off, and went to my room to get ready for bed. Even though I'm doing okay with having left the Blue Lake Pack, and Jasper, it didn't mean that I didn't miss him. I missed him more than anything, and I still loved him with all of my heart. But this was for the best, at least I hoped that it was. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at a picture of Jasper and me together right before he disappeared. It was actually taken the night before. It was a photo that Melody took for us, and it was the last picture we took together before everything changed. I traced his face with the tip of my finger and couldn't stop the tears that flooded my eyes. I held the photo to my chest and cried myself to sleep that night. Chapter 51. Jasper's POV. I don't know how it was happening, but I swear to the moon goddess, I was enjoying Sarin, and she was holding onto my arm. We were in our bathroom together, and she was bathing in our tub. Her belly was nice and swollen with our pup growing inside of her. I never knew how I didn't notice it before, but my God was she beautiful. "You're so beautiful, Sarin," I whispered in her ear as I fingered harder as her M0ANS echoed like a musical. Her voice was just as beautiful as she was. I felt her juices leave her body as her climax overtook her in waves. When she finished, I removed my fingers and started to massage her body. "I love you, Jasper," she said in a sweet and sultry voice. Just then, I felt someone grab my shoulders and pulled me away from her. I opened my eyes and found Jason and my dad staring at me. My dad had a baby in his arms. "Yo, you good?" Jason asked. "Yeah, I'm good," I replied holding my head. "How long was I asleep?" "A few hours, and by the looks of it, you were dreaming about Sarin." "What?" I looked up at him and he pointed down. "Jasper, I'm going to ignore the fact and introduce you to your niece," my dad said and handed me the baby in his arms. "This is Leanne." I looked down at the beautiful little girl in my arms. "She looks like Melody, but she has Ken's black hair." "She's a beauty, that's for sure," my dad said. I looked down at my niece, and I couldn't help but wonder what my pup would look like. I decided to hold her a little while and then took her back to Melody's hospital room. Melody was asleep, but Ken was wide awake. "Hey, brother," I said softly so I didn't wake Melody. "Hey, Uncle Jasper," he said back. I looked down at Leanne and kissed her tiny face before handing her to Kendrick. "How is she?" I asked referring to my sister. "She's tired, but she's a trooper. She did it with no epidural." "She always said she would do it without one," I replied and looked at her. I couldn't help but frown knowing that she was still angry with me. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "I'm not, man. I miss Sarin, and it's stupid because I don't even know her." "It's not stupid, man, you miss her because your heart knows she's your mate. Do you think we'll ever find her?" "Honestly, Jasper, I have no idea, but I'm hopeful, because well, you guys are made for each other. Everyone believes that, and even the ancient texts believe that. You and Sarin are destined for greatness. I just wish I could turn back time to the day I disappeared and never left the castle to go to work. Then I never would have been kidnapped, and someone wouldn't have had the chance to with my head and erase all of the memories of my life with Sarin. I don't think that would have changed anything." "What do you mean?" "Come on, man, you know as well as I do that SHT in our world always happens for a reason. Maybe you and Sarin were meant to get separated. How can say to me when you're the one who was pissed at me for treating her so badly that she left?" "Honestly, it's something Dot said." "Hey! Look, Mel might be pissed off, but she's more hurt than anything. She loved Sarin like an actual sister. They were close. But a few days ago, she came to the realization that maybe Sarin was meant to leave us after all." "Why would she think that?" "Well, because she believes it's the moon goddess plan. I mean, look at us, I wanted to mark and mate her as soon as I found out she was my mate, and she did too, at least once she accepted me as her mate, but both of our wolves were telling us no, because the moon goddess told them to wait because she wanted our mating to be done during Mel's heat, and now we have a little girl that came from that. So, You think the moon goddess wanted Sarin and me to separate? I don't know if that's what the moon goddess wanted, or if it's something that needed to be done. Whatever the reason, don't let it eat you up inside, Jasper. We're going to find her when the time is right. I wonder if I'm having a boy or a girl, I say, looking down at my niece. What would be happy with? I wanted a boy first, you know, to carry on the Valencia name, but I'd be happy with either as long he or she is healthy. Do you think that your pup is a primordial? He asked me, and I looked at him. I didn't even think about that, I reply. Well, if the ancient texts hold true, it's highly plausible. After all, you and Sarin are both pure-blooded alphas, and she's the strongest primordial to ever exist. I hadn't even thought about that. After Kendrick told me that Sarin was a primordial, I thought back to all of the research I'd done on them, and I remembered that they all have powers, some more than others. What caught me by surprise was that Sarin had multiple powers, enough to actually hurt me, but she never once used them, not even when I had choked her. Any other wolf would have knocked me on me, but Sarin never once used her powers against me. I'm going to go to bed, man, I'm exhausted, I tell Kendrick. IKSS Leanne once more and place a small KSS on Melody's forehead. I love you, little sister, and I'm sorry, I leave the hospital and go to my office instead of my room. When I get there, I close the door and lock it behind me because I don't want to be disturbed. I sit in my chair and lean back with hands behind my head. I couldn't help but think about Sarin and the dream I had with her. It felt so real, it was almost as if we were really together. What I would give to actually be able to touch her and feel her body for real. She had the most amazing body from what I could tell in the dream. Her belly was nice and swollen with my pup, and she has this beautiful natural glow to her. I looked at the picture of her on my desk. I picked it up and held it in front of my face. Milan said that this was one of the first pictures I ever had printed of Sarin. I had apparently taken it the day after I brought her here. She wasn't smiling, or even looking at the camera. She was just staring off into space, but for some reason, it was one of the best photos of her I had seen as of yet. I wonder if that's why I kept it in my home office. Sarin, where are you? I say out loud while staring at her photo. I don't know if you can hear my thoughts, Sarin, apparently that's one of your powers, but if you can, I just want to let you know how sorry I am for how I treated you. You never once antagonized me. I promise, if you come back to me, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I don't know if I will ever get my memories of us back, but I want nothing more than to make new ones with you, and our pup. Please, Sarin, come back to me. Sarin's POV. I woke up the next morning, and I knew immediately that my eyes were swollen from crying. I got up and made my way to the bathroom, and I saw myself in the mirror. I almost had a heart attack. I forgot that my reflection would be Megan and not myself. But even Megan's eyes were swollen from crying. I splashed my face with cold water to try and bring down the swelling. I brushed my teeth and decided to take a quick shower to clean my hair since I hadn't washed it in 2 days. After I got ready, I went out into the kitchen to get some breakfast. I looked at the time and saw that it was only 8 in the morning. William would be getting up in about 30 minutes to go to work, and Olivia is most likely in the other room, which is her Wiccan sanctuary, meditating. I decided that I wanted something light to eat, so I just got a blueberry bagel and put it into the toaster oven. I went into the fridge and grabbed the strawberry cream cheese and some Nutella. I put the Nutella into the microwave for 30 seconds and waited for the bagel to finish in the toaster. Once it popped up, I spread the strawberry cream cheese on one side, Nutella on the other side, and sandwich it together. I put everything away with the bagel hanging out of my mouth and made some peppermint tea for myself. As I was sitting at the dining room table enjoying myself, William came down in his work uniform. "Good morning, Sarin." "Good morning, William. Is that cream cheese and Nutella on a blueberry bagel?" "Don't judge my pregnancy cravings," I snap at him. He puts his hands up in defense and chuckles while he makes his morning coffee. A few minutes later, Olivia comes down and makes William his breakfast before we send him off for work. "Have a good day," Olivia says to him and gives him a kiss goodbye. "Enjoy your day, ladies, I will see you later." After William left, Olivia and I decided to conjure up a crib for my pup. "Have you decided what you want?" she asked me. I pulled up a photo of one I saw on the internet, and she smiled. "That's a beautiful choice," I smiled, and we into my room. I closed the blinds to make sure no one could see, and she created the crib and put it in the corner by the bed, having it face my bed. "Olivia, do you think you can conjure a stuffed black wolf?" I didn't need to explain why I wanted one, she knew immediately. She quickly conjured up one and put it in the crib. I went to my closet and took out the baby blanket and sheet set that I bought at a store called Target and set up the crib. "Sarin, do you want to go to Target again and buy some clothes for the baby? I know we don't the gender just yet, but I think we can get some gender-neutral clothing." "Yeah, that sounds like fun," I reply. We both get ready and leave the condo. We go down to the garage where her car is. William used the money he's saved over the several thousands of years he has been alive and bought a car for Olivia after he bought the condo. It was a small red car and was made by a brand called Honda. William said it's called an Accord and it's a simple car that blends well. It took us about 20 minutes to get to Target. Olivia parked in a SP0T that was specifically for a pregnant woman, so I didn't have to walk so far. We grabbed a shopping cart and went to the baby section. While we were looking at the baby clothing, a woman came up to me with a big smile on her face. "Oh my goodness, you are just glowing," she said with excitement. "How far along are you?" "Just about 6 months, I replied with a smile. "Do you know what you're having?" "No, I want it to be a surprise," I answer. She's about to put her hands on my stomach, but thankfully, Olivia stops her. "I'm sorry, but please don't touch my niece that way." "Excuse me." "Look, I get that it's exciting to see young pregnant woman shopping for baby supplies, but you don't know us, and it's disrespectful to touch someone you don't know." "Well, you don't have to be rude about it," the lady said and stormed off. After she was far enough away, I turned to Olivia and thanked her. Every time we were out in public, random strangers kept wanting to touch my stomach. It was creepy on so many levels. We got back to shopping, and Olivia found some simple white anises, and a few cream-colored ones as well. We decided that while we were here, we would buy other necessities like bottles, a wrist pump, pacifiers, baby towels, diapers in different sizes, a couple of boxes of baby wipes, and even a bathing unit that will go in the kitchen sink. We got a few other things, but I'm not even sure what they are, but Olivia seems to know what she is doing, thank the goddess. It's times like these I wish I had Grace to help me. As we were going down the aisles looking at other baby things, I heard a woman squealing with excitement. "Babe, can you believe that we only have 2 months left until our daughter is born?" "I know, baby, it's exciting." I turned and saw a man on his knees kissing the girl's belly. "Daddy loves you, princess. We can't wait to meet you and give you the world." Watching the couple love each other over having a baby together brought tears to my eyes. I turned away and looked down at my belly and held it. "Megan, Do you want to leave? Olivia asked me, seeing how upset I was. No, I'm okay. I'll be okay, I said, wiping away my tears. Are you sure? Yes, Celeste, I'm okay, I smiled at her. We went around and bought a few other things, and then we went to the maternity section to buy myself some new clothes since my current ones were getting a little tight. Since I still had 2 months left, and I was carrying an alpha pup, Olivia said that I would get a lot bigger. I wasn't sure how big my pup was going to be, but I knew that when he or she was born, they would be bigger than a human baby. I was concerned about what the human doctor would think, but Olivia said not to worry about it because we more than likely weren't going to use the human doctor when I gave birth. After we finished shopping, we loaded up the car, and we to get something to eat. I was craving steak, so Olivia took me to Outback Steakhouse. I ordered the ribeye, medium rare, with an order of mashed potatoes. Olivia ordered a steakhouse salad. Since Olivia paid for all the baby stuff, which was well over a couple of $100, I paid for lunch. After lunch, we went home, and we unloaded everything. Unfortunately, it took a couple of trips, but we were able to get everything inside. Olivia helped with washing all of my new clothes and the baby clothes so we could put them away in the drawers and closet. We put a lot of the bigger items in the storage closet by the front door for now. When we were done organizing, I decided to take a nap until dinner. Layla's POV. I couldn't understand what had happened. Everything was planned perfectly, the spell worked, he forgot Sarin, he didn't know her. Jasper didn't love her anymore, and yet, he didn't want me. Why didn't he want me? What I couldn't understand was why he was trying to look for her. After leaving the Dark Witch, I decided to pay a visit to Kale and Emma. After driving for 4 hours, I finally got to their territory, and since I had been coming here so many times in the last few months, I didn't have to be vouched at the gate anymore. I just drove in without incident. I texted Emma to let her know that I was here. When I pulled up to the pack house, Kale and Emma were already waiting to greet me. Layla, why are you here? Kale asked. Where's Sarin? What are you talking about? We have no idea where she is. She never came back here. Kale shouted at me. You said that she left your pack, and yet, she hasn't come back here, so you tell me where she is. Layla, you have some nerve showing up here after everything you've done. What I've done? I couldn't believe Emma. You guys are just as involved as I am. All of this was your idea. It was your idea to send rogues after Blue Lake to kidnap Sarin, and since that didn't work, you came up with the plan to kidnap Jasper. Enough! Kale shouted in his alpha voice. This isn't a conversation to have out in the open, he said and walked off. Emma and I followed him to his office. Once we were behind closed doors and Emma and I started to argue again. This thought just because was an alpha's daughter she was high and mighty. Layla, it's been 2 months since Sarin left your pack, and yet, she didn't come back to me like you said she would. It's not my fault that she left and disappeared without a trace. You said that you were her first mate. Are you sure she even had feelings for you? I should be asking you the same thing about Jasper. You said that the Dark Witch told you once Sarin was out of the way, Jasper would fall in love with you, and yet he hasn't, Kale said to me with a smirk on his face. Jasper loves me. He loves me. I screamed at him. You're just as delusional as my brother, Emma said. Both of you are stupid and can't seem to take the hint that the 2 people you want don't want you back, and now we're inged. If anyone finds out what we've done, we're all dead, and our pack will be ruined, she said to the 2 of us. And you, Layla, you better figure out a way to get rid of the leftover humans that we haven't turned yet. Either get the witch to turn them, or set them free to go home. We can't risk any more unexplained human kidnappings. Kill the humans and dump their bodies, Kale said. We can't risk them reporting to the human authorities what happened to them. I was honestly contemplating if I should tell them one of the humans survived and is now being protected by Jasper. I decided against it. It's not like the human was ever going to figure it out, and it's not like Jasper would ever learn that it was us who was behind the kidnappings. I hated Kale and Emma, but they were the only two people I know who wanted Sarin out of Blue Lake as much as I did. I didn't care where the hell Sarin was at this point, as long as she stayed away from Jasper, that's all I cared about. One way or another, I was going to make Jasper fall in love with me. Chapter 52. Tareen's POV. It's been a little over 2 months since I was banned from the castle, and no matter how hard I tried, I could never get a hold of Keaton. He officially changed his number and has put a permanent block on me. I could not believe this was happening. I was officially a single mother and had to work part-time cleaning other pack members' houses just so I could afford to buy food and clothes for Killian. I hated that I stooped so low in life, but I was going to swallow my pride for my son. Today was my day off, and I was surprised when I had a visitor at my door. "So, this is where you were sent to," Sierra said when I opened the door. She and Andrea stood there with bags of food. "What are you guys doing here?" "Just thought we would visit you, see how you're doing," Andrea answered. "Since when do you two care about my well-being?" "Oh, come on Tareen, just because you were a asterisk to us when you were pregnant, doesn't mean we should ignore you now that you're alone," Sierra said. They both pushed their way in and put the bags of the food down on the kitchen. "We brought you some food, groceries, and some formula for Killian," Andrea said. "Thanks. So, how are you holding up?" she asked while she and Sierra put the groceries away. "Shitty, but I'll live," I watched as they worked. "Can you tell me what Keaton has been up to?" They both stopped what they were doing and looked at me. "What? Oh my goddess, you don't know," Sierra said. "Don't know what?" They looked at each other and then back at me. "What? Tareen, you should really let him go. We get it, you love the guy, but he's moved on," Andrea said carefully. "What do you mean he's moved on? What? Did he find another she-wolf to around with? Hey? Who is it? Is it someone we know?" "Girl, it's more complicated than that." "What is it? Spit it out." "Tareen, Keaton found his mate," Sierra said. I couldn't believe what she just said. I couldn't have heard her right. "What did you say?" "Keaton, he found his mate. She lives with him in the castle and everything." "What?" I screamed at the top of my lungs. My screaming woke Killian from his nap. "Andrea, you handle this, I'll take care of your baby Tareen." She went to my room and closed the door. "Andrea, this better be a joke." "Sorry, but it's not. They're always together." "Who is she?" "Her name is Irene, she's 18 and works as a nurse in the Pack Hospital with me. Keaton is always visiting her when he's not busy with beta duties and training. They have lunch together almost every day, and they've marked each other." "He marked her. And she marked him." "No. No. No. How am I supposed to get him back?" "You can't unless you LOL her of course. But there is something else you should know." "What?" "Well, as I said, Irene works in the Pack Hospital with me, and she's been working there ever since she turned 18. Your point?" My point is that I've seen her every day for the last few months, and I saw without her mark when she started, and when she got her mark. Again, your point? You already said Keaton marked her. Ah, but it's when he marked her that's the important point. What? Tarine, Irene was marked before you had Killian. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. Are you telling me that Keaton found his mate before he found out Killian wasn't his? That's exactly what I'm saying. At least a week before, I was so angry that I couldn't even talk. I was huffing and puffing, seething in pure rage. Oh, and just so you know, Irene had been taking weird lunch breaks for at least a few months, and she always came back smelling like someone else. What? Are you saying that she and Keaton were mating behind my back? While I was pregnant? It seems that way. But he never smelled like anyone else? His scent never changed. Well, he may have found a way to mask her scent then, but it doesn't change the fact that Keaton found his mate, months before you gave birth. This explains everything. His sudden change in behavior, how he stopped caring about the baby, how he despised me even more than he ever had, why he started to hate Killian. It was Irene. She changed him. She got in the way of my happiness. Rumor also has it, she's the reason he got a paternity test done. What? I overheard a conversation between the two of them about a month ago, and he was thanking her for convincing him to get it done. That had she not questioned you and your bitchiness towards everyone, that he would have been stuck with someone he hated more than the devil himself. Who is she? What does she look like? I'm going to kill her. Andrea took out her phone and showed me a picture. This is the latest nurse's photo we took. See the young girl to the left with the red hair? That's Irene, she's Keaton's mate. The girl she was showing me looked so familiar. Where had I seen her before? She had to be one of the girls that always rooted with Keaton when he and I were together. She took away my happiness, she took away the life I was supposed to have with Keaton. She took away my son's father. I was not going to rest until I found her and killed her for taking everything from me. Jasper's POV. I was at the office today getting ready for a convention coming up during the weekend at one of the higher-end hotels in the city. I honestly wanted to pull out of the convention. Unfortunately, my company is one of the main vendors, and these conventions are a great way to bring in customers and contracts with other vendors and companies. Beeb. Yes. Mr. Valencia, the car is ready for you outside. Thank you, tell Angelo I'll be right down. I grabbed everything that I needed and headed out. As much as I wanted to spend my time looking for Sarin, I knew I had other responsibilities as a CEO, and I also had faith that Felix and his trackers would eventually find some sort of clue of where she could be. As I made my way down, all I could think about was if Sarin were safe and happy wherever she was and that our pup was growing healthily inside of her. Based on the timing, Sarin would be just about 3 months now. I prayed to the moon goddess we found her before she gave birth. I wanted nothing more than to be there when she did. But I knew that I didn't deserve it, not after the way I treated her. The elevator door opened, and I walked out of the lobby and found my team ready to go. Good morning, I say to them. Good morning, Mr. Valencia. A few of my team members were also PAC members, but the majority of them were humans. I will see you all at the convention. All of you know where we are setting up? Yes, sir. Good. Make sure to valet your cars, and the company will reimburse the valet fee for the duration of the convention. Thank you, Mr. Valencia. Let's head out, and all of you drive safe. They all nodded their heads and went towards the parking garage while I went out front to meet Angelo. Alpha, he bowed his head. Angelo, let's get going, he nodded his head as he opened the back door for me. The drive to the convention only took about 20 minutes, which left my team and me at least 2 hours to get the booth ready. Angelo dropped me off at the front where I saw some of my team already handing off their keys to the valet. Mr. Valencia, do you want us to keep the stubs for the valet and give them to Miranda after the weekend? One of my designers asked. Yes, keep your copy of the stubs along with any receipts, I tell her. As I passed by the valet booth, one of the valet guys gave me a blank stare, and if I weren't a werewolf, I would have missed it. I brushed it off because it wasn't the first time people have stared at me, and went inside with my team to get set up for the start of the convention. Sarin's POV. Olivia and I had got to the convention early, and some of the booths were still being set up. I was in awe of this hotel because of how large it was. I was even more surprised to see a bunch of machines that were making a lot of noise, and people were screaming at tables that had cards all over the place. I had fun just people watching. Humans were very excited about these machines, and I could see them throwing money everywhere. Celeste, what is this? This is called a casino. I thought this was a hotel. It's both, sweetie. You see, people bet their money, and if they win at the game, they either win their money back or even more money in return. Do people win all the time? Oh goddess, no, people lose at least 85% of the time. I looked at her like she was crazy and backed the people just throwing their money away. I shook my head, not understanding the concept. What are these machines? Those are called slot machines. They're kind of like games, but you play with your money, and again, you tend to lose more than you win. Can I try? No, you can't, sweetie. You have to be 21 to gamble. Oh, okay, I frowned. We walked around a little bit more and looked at all of the booths that were being set up. A lot of them had models set up of buildings, swimming pools, houses, and some even had designs of cars. Megan, Wayne just texted me to meet him. Are you going to be okay by yourself? I'll be fine, Celeste. Olivia smiled and went to go meet William. I walked around to all of the booths that were set up and talked to a few people. A lot of people asked me about my pregnancy, and someone even tried to touch me, which I took a lesson from Olivia and kindly asked them not to. After walking around for about 45 minutes, my feet were starting to hurt, so I sat down at an empty table. I leaned back in the seat and rubbed small circles around my stomach and felt my pup kick. I smiled at the feeling and closed my eyes. I didn't realize how long I had been sitting there until someone tapped me on my shoulder. I opened my eyes and found a woman staring at me. Yes. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you can't sit here. I can't. This is the table for our booth. Oh, I'm so sorry, I said and quickly stood up. She took one look at me and her face immediately became apologetic. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you were pregnant, please excuse me for my rudeness. It's fine, please, no need to apologize. No, please sit back down, she said and took my arm, guiding me back to the chair. I was in your shoes once, believe me, I know what it's like for your feet to hurt, she said sympathetically. Thank you, I smiled and got comfortable again. How far along are you? About 6 months, I replied. Do you know what you're having? No, I want it to be a surprise, I replied and just stared at her. Is everything okay? She asked me when she saw me staring. You haven't tried to touch my stomach. Oh my goodness, I would never do that. Don't you just hate it when random people just want to touch your stomach all because you're pregnant? Oh my god, thank you. You're the only person that seems to understand how that feels. I exclaimed. As I said, I was in your shoes not too long ago, so I know exactly how you feel. Now you rest, and my team and I can set up around you for the time being. Thank you, truly. It's no problem at all, I smiled and let out a deep sigh and rested my head against the back of the chair again. I could hear people working around me, and the woman explaining to them that I was pregnant, and they seemed to be more than okay with it. I closed my eyes again, and just concentrated on my pup. He or she was very restless and was kicking more than normal, and one point, he or she kicked me hard, making my eyes jolt open, but then they did. I was met with the most stunning teal eyes and immediately Callie started to stir. Mate. It's our mate. Miss, are you okay? He asked me. I couldn't answer, I was in so much shock. Jasper was right in front of me. He was just as handsome as ever. Seeing in front me of like this had to be a dream. This had to be a dream. There was no way in hell Jasper was in front of me like this. Sir, is everything all right? I heard another familiar voice. I looked behind Jasper and I saw Angelo. Oh God, this wasn't a dream. Miss, are you okay? Jasper asked me again. Fine, I'm perfectly fine, I finally answered. Are you sure? You seemed to be in pain a second ago. It's nothing, my baby just kicked me really hard, I replied. Jasper's eyes went down to my belly, and I could have sworn I saw guilt and longing in his eyes. Are you all right? He asked me, and I just nodded my head. I'm sorry to have to do this, but we really need this seat back. It's fine, I'm all rested now, I said and stood up. Jasper immediately reached his hand to help me, but I flinched. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, I just wanted to help you to your feet. I gave him a small smile as he helped me stand. Of course, Jasper is being nice to me, he doesn't realize that it's me. He thinks I'm just some pregnant brunette and not his ex-mate. This isn't fair, I want to speak to Blade. Stop it, Callie. Our bond with them is broken. Jasper and Blade don't love us anymore. Remember, you said so yourself. That's why we left. She whimpered in the back of my mind and settled down. Are you sure you're okay? Jasper asked me. I'm fine, thank you, I said and turned to leave, but I turned so suddenly that I had forgotten Angelo was there and bumped right into him, knocking me down. Whoa, careful, I felt a pair of strong arms holding me and the smell of fresh rain immediately flooded my senses. Feeling Jasper's arms around me made my heart beat 1,000,000 miles a minute and it felt like it was going to burst. What I give to be able to in Jasper's arms like this again. For him to h.ug me, k.ss me, love me again, but all those feelings were pushed down when I still didn't feel the sparks. Just then, my pup gave the hardest kick ever, making me wince and slightly cry out. What the hell was up with my baby? With the way Jasper was holding me, I knew he felt it too. I couldn't stop the stray tear that fell. I quickly wiped it away hoping no one saw it, and gently pushed Jasper away. I'm sorry, I can be such klutz sometimes, I say and straighten myself. Jasper looked at me, and then down at Belly, and I knew he felt the pup kick. Do you need help finding your husband? Jasper asked. Oh, I'm not married. Are you here with anyone? The father of your baby perhaps? No, he's not in the picture. I left him because he hurt me, I answered. I came with my aunt. I really should go look for her. Thank you for catching me. And I'm sorry if I was in the way. I quickly turned and went to go find Olivia. I needed to get out of here. I needed to get away from Jasper. Seeing him, having him touch me, smelling his scent brought and knowing that he felt his pup kick brought on so many emotions, I thought I was going to explode. I couldn't stop the tears that started free falling from my eyes as I tried to find Olivia. Thankfully, I didn't have to look far, as she found me instead. "Oh my goddess, there you are," she said. "We have to go, Ren's just told me that." "Jasper's here," I interrupted. "You already saw him." "I didn't just see him, I talked to him, he touched me, and I felt his arms around me." "This is too much, I want to go home." Okay, let's go get the car and I'll take you home." Olivia helped me get outside and William went to go get the car for us. He immediately knew that Olivia found me too late and that I had already had my run-in with Jasper. Even though Jasper couldn't recognize me, it still hurt seeing him. By the time William brought the car around, I was a mess and couldn't stop crying. Thankfully, Olivia was able to tell people it was pregnancy hormones, to which everyone was understanding. I cried the entire ride home. I didn't think that seeing Jasper would make me so emotional, but after not seeing him for 2 months, and him seeing me pregnant, feeling his touch, hearing his voice, and smelling his scent was just too much to handle all at once. I had cried so hard, that Olivia had to practically carry me up to our condo. Thank the heavens for elevators. When we got inside the condo, I had cried everything out of my body and had no strength left. Olivia helped me out of my clothes and into something more comfortable and laid me down in my bed. I was so exhausted that I couldn't stop myself from falling asleep, only the sleep was going to be anything but peaceful. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.